Hello, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with, well, not my continuing playthrough, sort of post playthrough look at the US. This, of course, is the Japanese series, but was requested nicely, so I agreed, of course, to do sort of a look. Particularly, we're wanting to look at the American Navy, but I'm going to expand it into look at the US, the Allies, and whatnot. And see sort of the state of the world. I guess gives you an idea of, you know, were we almost victorious or whatnot? Give up too easy kind of thing. Just sort of wanting to look around here. And so I was looking around and I clicked on a few things for a little while, and then I did have a crash. So we may experience a crash during this. I don't know if we will. But I did spot this. 4 CVs plus a battleship escorting 2 Marine divisions down this way. There are 42 units here, it says, you can see down there. I think some of the things are not displaying just because of tag switching over. Another CVE battleship, a CVE. 4 carriers, 4 escort carriers, which don't have any planes, but they're just super sub killers. That's back. Okay, so just 3 sort of fleets there. Heading down into the Mediterranean. Well, let's see. Now here's sort of a super armored division. It has both an armored brigade, a full-size armored brigade, and a full-size infantry brigade. There's I don't know specifically why they were under strength right there. Though that's, I think, a Free French unit maybe or something. I don't know. But we can see similar there. Now I did look up at these pockets here. These units aren't doing so well. Germany can defeat these. Now here we have a big stack of really good Marine divisions, which would have been perfect for invading islands, with commando force, special purpose armor, light infantry attached to a Marine unit. Really, really good, but and they're doing all right here, but it's a waste to have them here at all, really. Maybe in this scale, 4 or 5 to sort of do the initial landings, spread out though, in support, coming in with regular infantry divisions and regular armor divisions, and then those 4 or 5 total moving along, just because there's rivers and things that they can do well. We can see, well, these are all turned over to the British, but we can see that a bunch are also US based Marine divisions that are somewhat similar. The US has been, because I think of the lack of supplies, has been turning the forces, as we can see here, over, I guess, some to the French, some to the British, but we can see a big stack of more Marine infantry divisions, not quite as super, no armor support. But I did notice down here, where are they? Yeah, we have one of these super armored divisions and another one all coming to smash into these guys. And if we remember, these guys are just barely hanging on with a regular Marine division attacking. So that was coming. Now, I am a little surprised at how weakly I thought there were more units stuck here in Africa. With all of this, with some of the supply problems, I would say now it would have made sense to do some landings here. It would have. I think we could have held for a little while longer, sent in 5 or 6 divisions, make a few landings, maybe make some landings and then run away, make other landings to really push a lot of forces somewhere else. There is a sort of down here a no movement past block thing, I believe. At least that's how it was in the older maps. So yeah, that's going there. We can see here 3 units based here, 3 units. There's not much Navy out here, but we can see, what is this, 50 air units based here. Don't know why they've mixed the fighter bombers in with the long range aircraft. That to me seems like a bad idea. But here another 53 units, and a bunch of them are the strategic heavy bombers, as you can see as we click through them. This could get into an AI rant real easy. Why the hell aren't all those strategic bombers? Because those strategic bombers can bomb, you know, in support of ground units, but they're not that effective. Better to use medium and light bombers, and of course the, you know, CAS, the close air support. Those are all better at attacking ground units and better at attacking naval units. And some of those guys, the light and medium bombers and the CAS, can be rather damaging to naval units. It's just that they don't spot so well, so finding even big ships at sea can be a real sort of a problem. So, but they would have been great hammering. There's 47 units here. Okay. Naval fighters. They're sort of messed up. Okay, some heavy bombers, more heavy bombers. More. Okay, well, at least they have some that apparently probably have been doing some attacks. But pounding Germany's industry is what you want to do with those. And of course, since they control up here, which, you know, I completely forgot about, quite honestly, is if they had sent them up here, they already have 25 air units, are all British, okay. Is sent them up here and tried to fly down and pound down deeper into the Reich. There. We can see down here again lots of Marine Corps divisions, some awesome Mountain 2. Now here we have some mech infantry, some sort of super armor, more super armor. Pushing here. I don't think we're really in danger of, the US is in danger of losing down here. They've got lots of forces, and we can see the Navy, 9 units here. These are a lot of, I've been clicking on them, a lot of mostly smaller transport, well escorted transports in many cases. Now here are 2 battleships escorting, and those are, looks like a super sub hunting unit. Don't know where it's going. Where is it going? Back here, maybe to go after some subs out here. Okay, yeah. So it's coming up here to go after German subs. And this is a super sub hunting unit. Those CVEs and destroyers will just smash subs. Locate, smash. So they'll do really good. So that's 25 units are based here. Now this is obviously a very well escorted invasion fleet for dealing with subs. So move through sub-infested waters, do very well. And against reasonable lighter forces, they'll do okay, or at least should. Again, here more CVEs. Put in proper carrier, proper battleships to probably smash them up. 17 units here. Again, a lot of these sort of, okay, a CV and 2 BBs, all for escorting that. So they have their Navy fairly well spread out. Here, 6 units, okay. What was the Yorktown is here. Okay, with the Enterprise aircrew on it, I guess. They're sort of doing ground attacks. And CVEs are going after subs. And moving ships around. If you're... So, like I say, I've had one crash just clicking on units already. So it's not a staple game to switch over. But I can assure you that a slightly better AI, or no, let me somewhat adjust that, a more aggressive AI. And remember, going back. For the motherland. Suicide invasion, suicide invasion, suicide invasion. You could leave one or more ports open. Britain would invade them. Germany's at peace. Germany would crush the forces there. And just repeatedly crush the forces. That, of course, should change once you have the Soviet Union at war with Germany. The same invasions might still be crushed by Germany, especially if you're talking a player playing as Germany, but it would require real significant forces sitting back here and not fighting the Soviets. So I would really, really love to have someone, you know, and I think, but I have no, you know, I'm talking out my ass here. I don't know. But I would think that they could have their AI programmer to go in there and look at it. If Germany is at war with Soviet Union, then Western allies should go back to the invasion behavior for the motherland. If USA is at war with Japan, it should go back to the invasion behavior like we saw in For the Motherland and trying to invade everywhere, anywhere it can. That should be a thing if the U.S. is at war. And you know, just sort of have that sort of thing there. But maybe it's very complicated, and because I know that I know nothing of what I talk about. But I've just watched that, so sure. Looking at these forces here, if I didn't have all of my divisions sitting in Saudi Arabia, I could do an invasion here. We could take a port or two. We could take this port, no problem. We could definitely, if invasion ranges distance from Hawaii is too much, we could come down here and take out a Mexican port or something, I would presume, and do other invasions. But just give me a little bit of time, or give the Americans a little bit of time, and crushing forces would come in here. This is not like the situation of when I've invaded the U.S., mostly via Canada, with premier both German Army and SS divisions that just come in and have some hard battles, most assuredly, but come in and crush. Yeah, we can just see outrageous amounts. A lot of these are HQs, I know, but still outrageous amounts of forces here. And they have a fair amount of forces over here too, so this gives you an idea. Germany's doomed, even if I were to have more successfully come in here and dealt with things. They've turned over most, because if you remember sort of a little while ago, these were mostly US controlled forces, but they're no longer. But we still have a fair amount. Okay, for the future, what's to hold? What's to happen? Okay, well, the artist Johnson almost got me pulled back into modding again on looking at the Operation Himmler, the sort of the false flag operations, as we call it today, to make it look like Poland was being a belligerent and trying to justify German intervention into, or invasion into, Poland. Now, I can quickly say on that, it was a false flag operation. Nobody thought, at least nobody outside of Germany thought, Poland was militarily attacking Germany. But what was real, both in the 20s and in the 30s, very significant pressure on Germans, or German-speaking peoples living in Poland. For a while, Poland had a policy of, if you want an ethnic policy of, are you a Pole or are you a German? Please check this box or that box. Not do you have a German passport or anything. These were citizens of the state of Poland, but are you German in ethnicity or Polish in ethnicity? And if you checked off that if you were Polish, you got benefits that the Germans wouldn't have gotten. This is a very real thing. I could go into some more controversial stuff, but I won't now. But so this was really happening. And there was a lot of German-speaking peoples, shall we say, fleeing into Germany. The Nazis in particular, but even the Weimar government prior to this, was desperately trying to stop Germans coming to Germany. And these are often many people that had been living, or mostly had been people that had been living inside the German Empire, where there were also lots of Poles living inside of the German Empire. But Weimar, as well as, and it wasn't just a situation of trying to get better conditions for German-speaking peoples, ethnic Germans living in Poland. They were actively trying to encourage them not to move to Germany. We can speculate because, and some of the speculation I'm sure would be correct, because I think there may be different reasons for different people in Weimar pushing that. But there is definitely the Nazi reason of, instead of having the Germans come and collect inside of Germany, they want to move the German borders and use it as justification to protect German interests and reestablish everybody outside of Germany. Germany should move to incorporate them. The one area that Germany actively, and especially once the war got going, but never really pushed very hard and was somewhat of a lack of success, was trying to get Germans that were living inside of Italy to move back to Germany. But this was it starts happening once they get Austria. This is mainly to allay, however you want to say it, Mussolini's fears of German territorial moves against Italy. But everywhere else there was. And so there were acts, shall we say, that were against German-speaking peoples inside of Poland. There was a whole League of Nations commission set up on dealing with that, not just for Germans, but for ethnic minorities and, significant attacks, if you will, significant, not just minor, and I'm trying to use language correctly here, because it isn't necessarily race-based, though the Nazis would want to do it. Ethnic discrimination. They weren't like, some sort of minor ethnic discrimination going on, like, they didn't hire me because I was a Hungarian and it was inside of Czechoslovakia or whatever. But it was more, at least this is my understanding, more on various ethnic attacks of, say, Slovaks or Czechoslovaks or whatever, attacking people, ethnicities, sometimes the government, sometimes just individuals, attacking the Hungarian minorities, physically attacking them. And they were a whole bunch of commissions going in the 20s and into the 30s on that, under the League of Nations as part of the post-World War I world setup. So that some of those things were real. I forget the city, so I'm not even going to guess on it, but one Polish city, a city inside of pre-1939 boundaries of Poland, had been about 60+%, if I'm getting my figure, but more than 60%, German ethnicity at, in 1920, say, at the time of it becoming part of Poland. By 1938 or something, the percent that was German was down to less than 20%. So you go from a majority German city into a minority German city. and there wasn't like some huge wave Poles moving in that with the same amount of Germans there. No, it was Germans were fleeing for various reasons. So and someday I want to talk, and I've been thinking more and more about this from some of my readings of border boundary changes and ethnicities and countries, and multiculturalism can work very well, but can also not work very well. Let's look at two, I think, rather well-working multiculturalisms, though people can correct me if I'm wrong. The Flemish and Wallonians in Belgium, and the Highland and Lowland Scots. Though with the Highland Scots we see a massive eroding of their culture, but we also see the eroding of Lowland Scots culture as it just sort of melds more and more into Englishness too. But we more in the idea that there is a tiny minority fraction that even speaks traditional Gaelic in Scotland. But you can have worked out, in my opinion, good multiculturalism. And another, I guess, good multicultural situation is Switzerland. But, and I'm just talking here currently about just cultures based in Germany, but multiculturalism can be a real problem, and the conflicts can be very, very, very ugly. You know, the final solution is sort of the ugliest type examples of those cultural conflicts. So it can be very, very ugly in how to deal with that. Okay, so looking to the future of Hearts of Iron 3 on my channel. Actually, it's looking very bright. I'm getting minor bits of encouragement to do another series. I want to do another series. I plan on doing another series. The current plan is to do it as Germany. There are two reasons I'm not starting one immediately, or have already started one long ago. One is just getting, you know, things like TRE, Third Reich events, compatible with the current version of Black Ice. I think the current version is making this is 10.2. I know they're working on a 10.3, but I could have been out or something, and I just in the last few days or whatever missed it. But not out as far as I know. So it's getting it working. Now I know there have been a few people that have made versions of TRE that I've sort of tentatively endorsed that should be more or less working. And I'll tell you, the only way to confirm if things are truly working is to get in there and play it. And part of it working actually means that it works well with what is happening in Black Ice. And that takes a lot of playing. Basically playing a game, two or three games, and obviously I don't have time to do all of that. So I don't know, you know, and some of it can be is, oh, hey, you know, the classic, hey, you know, I've had a 4-year plan event chain for a long time in Third Reich events, and it's sort of going along and really good, and then Black Ice decides to do a effective but simplified, you know, 4-year plan for Germany. Well, we can't have two of them because that just makes Germany unbalanced strong. So instead of cutting mine out, because I like mine, I cut Black Ice's out. Not that Black Ice actually did a few good things there that in a less significant way might have been good to put into TRE, but yeah, we're just probably going to stick with mine. So it just, you know, duplication kind of thing is part of the problem. So, I need to make sure Third Reich Events is working, and then some of the other sub-mods that to some degree need to have Third Reich Events work. Make sure, get all that working, and that's going to take time to work it. Not necessarily, got to play it a little bit to make sure that things aren't crashing, but go in there, and I haven't done it. Need to do that. That's number one. Number two reason why I haven't done it is, do I wait for 10.3 to come out? And, you know, I mean, if it's like coming out tomorrow, literally, obviously, it's a good thing to wait. If it's coming out in 2 weeks, absolutely, it's a good thing to wait, because 2 weeks for a 100+ episode series, yeah, it's good to wait 2 weeks. And to make TRE compatible to that and not make it compatible to whatever's now, because I don't know how big the changes are. But that is a good thing to wait. 2 months? Wait 2 months? That's probably too long to wait. So, you know, I just don't know. And the mod developers may not know, just truly not know, how long they need to take to make their release their next version. So those are the two things. One, that I've got to get into the modding enough to figure out what's going on and feel that I'm comfortable with TRE and or any of the other submods. And dealing with 10.1. And yes, we're looking at Germany just because that's the classic. That seems to be what a lot of people like to do, what I like to do. So we're looking at that next. After that, I don't know. Probably another Hearts of Iron 3 series, because man, I love this game. But I don't know after that. What country? Probably another series, whether it's a minor country, a major country. Because we saw Italy sort of do okay until we had to fight the Soviet Union, and then just sucked. So I don't know. Japan, that did well. I mean, we did well as Japan. Absolutely. We got to what Japan could do, because I do firmly believe that if we had, you know, engineered some landings somewhere here or down in Mexico, we could have gotten in there, but eventually it just would have been hammer blows against us that we could not have successfully maintained a bridgehead. I firmly believe that. So we did what we could do. Now, if we were playing with an active Germany who was invading Canada and, you know, sort of doing the island hopping of the north or whatever it is, or built a big fleet and came across the sea and invading the USA from the east, oh yeah, then we could have also come along with an invasion and put the US on a two-front war. That would have been interesting. The other thing is, which is coming to mind, is, and I'll probably make a separate post on this, is, do I just really bite the bullet and build it and put it together, and instead of doing a German playthrough, do a multiplayer playthrough? Maybe that should be my goal. That's probably going to be my goal. Maybe I'll need to hype that as I'm just thinking about that, because I want to do one really super playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with good, you know, relatively decent players, but players that are not going to, God, this is so important, and I would kick players so fast if they were to do things like this, from playing in the game and find other ones and go back to earlier saves, is things like, oh, well, the U.S. can, you know, is justifying war against Colombia and, you know, going to grab that up, blah, 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 you know, boom, 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 you know, the U.S. is able to, like I saw, it was either Colombia or Venezuela in one of my Black Ice multiplayer for Hearts of Iron 4. That, or, oh, hey, you know, it's 1936 and Italy's justifying, you know, the war, you know, going after Yugoslavia. No, none of that, none of the exploits. Play the basic historical path, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the idea that if you know, Spain the Republicans win in Spain and then Italy invades, that's doable. Or Germany, you know, after defeating France, Germany invades, you know, if it's basically a pseudo-Bolshevik Spain. Yeah, going off the rails, but not if it's nationalist Spain. If it's nationalist Spain and Germany or Italy can't, through diplomatic means, get them into the Axis, then nationalist Spain is neutral, and we can have a powwow about the idea of whether at some point the U.S. could invade a neutral nationalist Spain, even if, you know, that's not at war. You know, so some of these things like that would have to be discussed. But otherwise, you know, going to war and whatnot to not be exploitative. And so, yeah, I would really love, but once you're at war, you know, then we can talk about conditions and what happens with the Soviets. But once they're at war with Germany, then yeah, the German player plays his damnedest to defeat Germany, you know, and mostly just, you know, leaves just enough force, and we can talk about what conditions Japan could be to invade the Soviet Union, which I could have theoretically, you know, if, you know, Germany's doing well, you know, outside of the gates of Moscow, but not taking Moscow, but may or may not have taken Britain, but controlling the Mediterranean, you know, and Soviet Union's barely hanging on. Yeah, maybe at that point, you know, at this kind of conditions, otherwise, yeah, Japan might get to invade the Soviet Union, you know, might get to do it. So the Soviet player would need to have some idea of, you know, protecting borders if things are going well, but obviously not in these conditions in which, you know, they're basically sort of getting into German territory right now, and Romania switched sides and blah blah blah, you know. So once you're at war, you know, play your damnedest. You know, this isn't like trying to, you know, either make gamer look good because, hey, me going down in flames to good players, but played in such a way that is, at least in my opinion, realistic to the politics and conditions that were happening in the 1930s and the 1940s. So that's maybe what we'll do instead of a German playthrough. Now I would be playing as Germany, so it'd be Germany as part of a multiplayer. But we will look at that. That'll be something to look at. So I love your feedback on that. I will probably make a special post, you know, what next, just because more people will see that. So, and have a poll or something. Okay, thanks so much. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.